Welcome back to The Betrayed. I'm Gina Beck.
This is Drew Williams.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we love you all, and Happy New Year to everyone.
If you have a betrayal story or you would like to be heard, message us on the Betrayed Facebook or Instagram or email us. All of that information is in the description below.
How was your year so far, Gina?
It's what, the third?
Yeah,
Right?
something like that. Almost the third.
Yeah, it's been a great 2020 so far. I've been sick. So if I sound stuffy or maybe cough or something, I apologize. I'm just getting over my sickness.
Yeah, we just spoke for the first time in a few days. Actually, I think just a couple minutes ago, really. She's been so sick, but I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
We got a kind of a crazy story. I guess it's been going on for a little while. I've seen it pop up in my YouTube before, but I always overlooked it. Gina, you probably should explain this because I don't even completely understand this, and it's going to be hard. We're going to over-explain ourselves probably because it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, you probably have heard of him. If you haven't, you are now. He's a YouTuber. He's a controversial YouTuber. His name is Onision.
Onision.
Right? Onision. He is known as a controversial YouTuber, like a troll and stuff like that. And him and his spouse are being called out by people and fans, girls, even old friends, for predatory grooming and being portraying as a predator. I don't know. I have to say it's alleged because they're not convicted. They're not in
Everything's
trouble.
alleged, but
So everything is alleged, but there's a lot of proof and receipts. So the alleged victims have been sharing their stories on Chris Hansen's YouTube. We'll link the interviews below, and they're very interesting as well. But to sum up some things, he has refused an interview with Chris Hansen unless paid $350,000. Like, he thinks that he's that important.
yeah, I guess he's refused a few other. I didn't know the $350,000 one for Chris, but I believe he denied or refused Insider unless they paid him $10,000 for a written article.
That's a lot of money just for an article, especially if you look at how much he makes. Yeah, he's overpricing himself. I'd just like to say that.
I mean, if you watch his last video, the guy's borderline insane, so.
For sure. I was going to mention that as well. But he has refused an interview with everybody. He just posts some YouTube videos, and I think he was on Patreon, but he got kicked off, and he's on Discord. But in recent YouTube videos of his, he has claimed that Kai has filed for divorce and that he has been forced out of his home with few funds because his Patreon, like you just said, has been shut down. So I guess that's why he needs all that money. But I had a question for you. What's your opinion on YouTubers being groomers and celebrities?
I think it's perfect example of abuse of power because you have such a huge, easy access, especially when you're like marketing yourself to such a young crowd, from what I understand that he was or still is. I think it probably should be more punishable if you have like reputation like that and using stuff like in the way. If he's really doing and Kai's really doing things that the receipts show, they need to be locked away. Those two are, I mean, they're not together anymore, but they're dangerous people.
Exactly. And with all of the receipts I've seen, I think that the most dangerous groomers are the ones that are celebrities or of importance or are popular. Especially the ones with fans, because if you have fans, there's always a fan who won't know or believe a situation.
Well, look at Bill Cosby. There's still people that don't believe that he's probably the most prolific serial rapist of all time.
Same with R. Kelly.
Exactly.
So many. So they possibly could be putting themselves in the same situation just because they don't believe it or they don't know. They're not up to date with news, stuff like that. So it is scary. It's very scary. And they'll always have a new fan or someone to talk to and be around. And also, he claims he's been bullied in this last YouTube video called Help. Is it bullying or is it the truth? Like, I think he's kind of overreacting in his video. I think he's just trolling, honestly.
I personally got the impression that it's a combination of him trying to troll while in the minute of like he's like having a manic breakdown.
Yeah,
It-
I think
it-
he's hurting. All of his comments, he's getting nothing but dislikes. He's getting bombarded by hate, and I mean, I don't blame the people that are doing it, of course. My opinion is I just that's why I said, is it bullying or is it the truth? I think it's the truth, and he can't handle it, and so he's breaking down, and he's really upset, but he's also, you know,
Well, I
being
think
over
it's one of
dramatic
those
about
things
it.
where karma like really shows when you use something of that magnitude, of that power over children, and then it gets exposed, it's going to hurt 20 times harder because the world knows about it and they all want to shame you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, him and Kai were accused of grooming a teenage fan. I guess let's start there. He uploaded a video in September 2016 called The Truth About My Spouse and 16-year-old Friend. He proceeded to say in the video that his wife met a girl 2 years ago online. Who was originally a fan of his. He said she was, as I understand, 14 at the time. He continued saying, and my wife and that girl had been talking off and on for the last 2 years exclusively from a distance. Kai at the time identified as a woman, though, referring to him as his wife in the video. Kai was 19 and Sarah was 14. Kai was Lainey, or right, Taylor Lainey,
Yeah,
right?
her first name is really actually Taylor, but she was online known as Lane or Laney, and when she transitioned, he's now Kai.
Okay, I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot, everybody, but it's crazy. It's a crazy story. So Lainey at this time, Kai as a woman before she transitioned, a straight 19-year-old girl. Then a year later, Lainey had Lainey came out as bi, and Onision, excuse me, was very supportive of it. He didn't care. So he said in a video he doesn't get jealous if his partner is with the same gender, but then pressured Lainey to date a girl named Billy, who had turned 18 that year, which is the age you should date someone, right? If you're over 18. I think people need to start teaching their kids when they're 17 turning 18. Once you're 18, go for 18 and older. Like, that's something that I never got told. That's just kind of, I guess it just kind of,
I guess I
you
never got told that either, but being 18 and 19-year-old, I did not want to associate with anybody in high school.
I think at the time it's just common sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. We learn it. I learned a lot of stuff at school. I learned a lot of stuff around my friends and just listening to adults. Obviously, that's how we learn a lot. Our minds are like sponges. So I took everything in that I was around and I learned from people. But I've never ever heard people be like I never talked. I don't know. I never heard anybody talk about child predators. Like, I don't remember ever hearing
I
stuff
mean,
like
we
that.
had
All I
like
remember is
stranger
strange.
danger.
Yeah,
Yeah, stranger danger.
stranger
But
danger.
I
That's the
mean,
only
like,
thing I remember. And dare, and but I don't remember like
I never graduated Dare. That's a whole nother story. But
I never remember like, hey, when you're 18, da, 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 don't date older, guys. Like, I never had that issue. I was from a small town, very sheltered, very, I it didn't wasn't exposed to a lot. And when I moved to a bigger city, I actually saw a lot of stuff going on online and stuff like that. It intrigued me, and I was just like, this is really messed up the more that I read about it. So I just learned a lot more growing up, and I think the kids these days have so much in the palm of their hands,
well,
and there's so many people that they can talk to, and they just need to be taught at younger ages more of the dangers.
when parents need to realize, I put a list together when I was because there's three. They're adults now, but they were children that were being preyed upon by Kai, aka Lane, and Greg Onison. Um, they were using Instagram Discover, which I don't know if you know what that is. I didn't really know what it was either. It was one of the early incarnations of Instagram, I guess. They're using Twitter, Facebook, Skype, Kick Chats, and then Snapchat. They were using all those to pray.
That's a lot of apps.
Yeah.
And very well-known apps.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to this. He then cheated on his wife, Lainey, with her girlfriend, Billy, who he pressured Lainey to date. I know it's still a lot, guys. I'm sorry. But he wrecked his own home. Billy and Lainey separated. Lainey couldn't be with Billy after what had happened, along with, she was just feeling a lot of stuff too. So she put out that not only her, a lot of this information that got put out is from Kai. Kai had slash Laney. Kai had put out a lot of this information. And what was put out is that not only had he pressured Kai, but he also pressured Billy. So he was pressuring both of them to ask one another out. So in my mind, that's like a grooming tactic. That way, no matter what, hopefully you have a better chance of it happening, and if he's telling his girlfriend it's okay, and if she goes and asks her out, she'll be okay with
See, and
it.
that's the thing. It even gets deeper because Kai's just as much of a predator. There's another girl that Kai was predating who was she still is best friends with Sarah, Regina.
Exactly. Not only Regina, but
Sarah.
also Sarah,
Yeah,
because
Sarah was the one, and they Regina and Sarah met in an Onision kick chat, and Regina introduced Sarah to Kai. This is so confusing. I know there's so many names getting thrown around, and I'm sorry for anyone that's lost, but the story is this confusing.
and the things that he would say to Kai, though, he would say, "You may need a friend to talk to." He would push her to talk to these females, younger or Billy, 18, because he didn't make her feel comfortable talking to him. He pushed her to talk to the other females. It's very strange. But at the time, she would be resorting to talking to a 15-year-old, which was, like we said, Sarah, about her issues with marriage and stuff like that. And I thought that was very strange too. Why would you talk to a child
About your
about your
marital?
about your marriage issues and stuff like that? Why is that her business, and how does she know how to help you in that situation? But it also seems like they argued a lot online. There's a lot of tweets and stuff of them arguing back and forth. They possibly could be in the same room arguing, making it a troll, or they really were fighting and it was just a very immature way of handling it. They just seem like very immature people.
Yeah, they both seem much younger than they actually are. They remind me of it all reminds me of like high school type stuff.
And he's what, 29?
I was gonna say 29, 30, and then what's Kai like
Mm,
25 or something like that now? 20.
no. No. Kai was 21, I thought. Like way younger.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize she was that significantly younger. I know that in some of the screenshots I had from Regina, she was like 19 and
Yeah, like she's way young.
yeah, she was 21 in 2015.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so she's 26 now,
All right.
probably. Yeah.
But why did Lainey slash Kai tweet Sarah a ton of inappropriate tweets? Like why was that necessary?
She did the same thing to Regina.
Disgusting.
Yeah, so I
I don't
can
know much about
Yeah, so
her.
Regina, well, since we're talking about her, I got notes right here. So Sarah met Kai through Regina, and she's the other one. If you go to Chris Hansen's page, 2 weeks later, he released a video with another victim. Her name's Regina, and she was actually Sarah and Regina were moderators on like their kick chats and things like that. Regina and I guess then Lane, Kai were talking back and forth, and eventually Regina was under the understanding they were in a long distance relationship, and there are actual receipts that prove like the predatory type things on it. Okay, so she says this is on Twitter, October 29th, 2014. Kai, then Lane, sent a tweet to Regina, who had just turned 17. I message me and send me nudes. Yeah. Then there was, this is January 4th, 2015. Regina was 17. Lainey was 21. Come fuck me and eat coconut milk and ice cream with me.
That
Hashtag
is so
goals.
messed up.
And then there's tons of them. This is again, January 16th, 2013, Regina was 15, Kai was 19. Hey Regina, or that's her name. I just took a cute Snapchat pic for you. Like, what is that? That's weird. That's weird.
Really
And then
weird.
this last one is really revealing, I think. It says this is January 18th, 2013. Regina is 15, Kai is 19, then Lane. It says, "Hey Regina, hot Skype sesh. It was grand."
Wow.
Yeah.
Typical grooming and predatory behavior. So people started thinking Onision was having Lainey/Kai recruit sex slaves. Lainey messaged her first, Sarah. I'm referring to Sarah. And in the beginning text, she asked right away, "How old are you, Sarah?" And Sarah replies, 14, Lainey. Well, Lainey then replies, says you look older, tongue face. That's a typical message I would receive as a decoy. So I totally think that they're not innocent, especially with how they carry on. And he tries to see no issues with it at all either. So you guys remember 18-year-old Billy? She flew to the house.
Yeah,
And then
from Michigan to Washington, correct?
and cheated on Lainey with him, Onision. Well, then Sarah gets flown out to their house as well. And he's trying to say that nothing's wrong with her flying out to his house because it was her idea. It was she was the one that wanted to do it, and that's a typical grooming thing to say too. It's blaming her, making it her idea. How does she know any better? Because Sarah is a fan, and Sarah also did an interview, like I said towards the beginning, with Chris Hansen. We'll link it below. But in the interview, she said her friend said she has screenshots of where Sarah had said she had a crush on Kai and was going to release them, but Greg was encouraging it. So a lot of people were concerned for her, like not only people within, I guess, the Twitter community and the YouTube community who knew, because there was a few people who knew about this as well, but her close friend. Her close friend didn't want her to go, and so she had warnings. But like I've said, sometimes people have to find out things for themselves. But that's a dangerous situation when you're a young girl. Where were her parents? You know?
Well, I know that at least in Regina's case, they were trying to have her fly out as well out to Seattle, and Regina's mom said no. Her parents put their foot down and did
Good.
not let it happen.
Well, Sarah was a fan. She wanted to see them and hang out. So a groomer will use that in their favor and manipulate you. That's what groomers do. And if a groomer knows that you love them, you're a fan, they will say things to guilt trip you, or even there were times where he had guilt tripped Sarah into saying, "You hurt Kai's feelings, you have to make this right." And it was not Sarah's fault. Anything that had happened was never anybody's fault but their own.
Well, he's
They
always he has a real problem with accountability. If you watch anything with him, he's always like projecting and dodging and using like circular reasoning, and he's not a good human.
Well, Sarah did a video denying things in the past, but in text, it proves he pressured her and made her feel guilty for hurting Kai. But you can tell in the video she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to say that there was nothing wrong. He pretty much had told her in texts that you were hurting her feelings. You need to make a video. You need to make it right. You need to tell people this and that. And in the video, you see her face, you see her reaction. She's just like, "I don't want to do this." Like, she says that in the video that she does not want to do this. And it's just a clear sign of her being pressured from someone
And
outside.
manipulated.
Yeah. He then has sex with her, though, right when she turns 18, and then never talks to her again.
Yeah, seems to be a pattern with both of them. As soon as they like, I guess that I heard Chris Hansen use it. He used the term aged out. As soon as they get a hit 18, 19, they start fizzling out, and they're not into him anymore. It's almost like the taboo part is part of the fetish.
Yeah, Groomer will say anything to get what he or she wants. And that's so true, too, because I mean, you're spending all this time from when she's 14, 15, grooming her, making her love you more and more, right? And knowing you as a person, knowing you as a friend, thinking they have this bond with you. And then you get flown out, they get what they want, and then you're just dropped like that. That's a heartbreaking thing. That's all you knew for all those years.
Well, that's not the only case of the people. Most people probably. There's a hip hop group called the Antwood, and they did a similar thing to a young fan. They waited till she was 18, but it was definitely the same type of grooming them for years and then bringing them over, things like
Yeah,
that.
making them feel comfortable, making them feel loved, like a bond, and then yeah, and then just dropping them. It's so messed up. But tons of videos with the text and proof. We will link those in the description below as well because there's a lot.
Yeah, we should also link Edwins Generation, his breakdown on it. He does a really good job of like compiling all the confusion because there's just so many names because of the transitional surgery that Kai went through.
But I think that if you are coming here because of the title, you know exactly who we're talking about, and I think that you guys may know even more than we do. So if there's anything that you guys know that we don't, let us know. Leave us a link in the description or come message us on one of our social media profiles, and the links in the description as well, or in the comments and stuff like that. We would love to hear what you guys have to say also, because I know that there's probably stuff that we have no idea about. This just came to us and we're just like blown away by it.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of apps that they were all using just to. It was just like a toolbox of apps to prey on young fans. It creeped me out.
Yeah, he's very controlling and manipulating, and we'll be following this situation from here on out as well and let you guys know if anything happens from it. He was also messaging Billy, encouraging her. Well, when he was encouraging Billy to ask Lainey out, also, not only was he doing that with her, I forgot to mention, but he did the same thing with Rebecca later on, didn't he?
With
Or what,
Regina,
Regina,
no,
I
no,
mean.
no. Regina's relationship was almost exclusively with Kai.
Okay, it was
Yeah, and
only with Kai.
the other two actually had physical interaction, I believe, with
Okay.
and Regina was just she was a moderator for like all, like I said, all their like social media and stuff like that, and she actually introduced Sarah to Kai and Greg.
Ah.
Yeah.
So just check your kids' devices, know who they're talking to, know who they're making friends and revolving themselves around. It's just, it's a scary world, and you never know who's on the other end of the phone and who can talk your child into moving
I
away, to
mean,
going to go visit.
look at what Regina's mom did. She stepped in, put her foot down, said absolutely no. She knew something was weird about it,
And I
and
respect that. That's amazing. That is a good parent. And
yeah.
if I mean, if she did it, you can do it. And I've always said sometimes it's hard to talk to your kids, like you might feel like they might want to run away or something, especially if another human is involved who could have things and do things and promise things, even though if they break those promises to your kids, it's scary. It's a scary world. So how about you just maybe not get your kids cell phones for a very long time?
Get him the cheap flip phones or like the brick Nokias he can't do much on.
Something. All right. I love you guys. This is the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting and subscribing. Check out our links in the description below. I love y'all. Banana cats.
Banana cats, much love. Peace. Happy New Year.